You know, I just got back in from walking my dog, and I happened to see this older lady with her grandkids. And it really disappointed me the way she spoke to them. Calling them all out their name because they running around and being kids. Listen, calling them little MFers is not going to help their self-esteem. It's going to help them feel like they are what you say you are because of the title that you hold in their life. Children are just little people. And the more that we pour negative words into them, the more that becomes their conscience. We have to be careful. Then it reminded me of a post that I did talking about things that I do that as a parent that people frown upon. And the response that I got from a lot of the older generation is that, well, beatings is what kept me responsible and is what kept me from getting out of trouble. No, beatings is what instilled fear in you, and it stopped you from being able to grow, set boundaries, and speak your truth. Beatings also does not help a person, because how can I learn any lesson from my mistake if I'm always being hit? That don't work. Then also, if you're beating me and you're not telling me to look for the lesson, all I learned is that you hit me when I make a mistake. And when I grow up and I get in a relationship, guess what's going to happen? I'm going to look for someone to hit me in order for me to learn a lesson. Right. I did another post talking about being a millennial parent and how I'm breaking generational curses. And generational curses look like I do not beat my kids. I talk to my kids. I open up communication. This lady said, well, that sounds like weak bitch parenting to me. Well, I will be it, because guess what? They didn't ask to come here. Okay? So if I'm not giving them the tools to grow up to be a person, because children are only going to be people. They are people. They're just little people. If I don't provide them the tools that they're going to need in order for them to be able to succeed on this planet, i.e. learn how to communicate, i.e. learn how to look for the lesson in the mistake. Because mistakes are not, you can't tell a person to be perfect when you're not. That's not it. They're supposed to make mistakes. And you as the parent or grandparent, if you're raising your grandchildren, which is very dangerous, by the way. But if you are having to raise your grandchildren, do not raise them like you raised your kids, because I'm pretty sure you probably made some really terrible calls. We all are just trying to do our best, but you can do better. I said it. That's all right. I'm pouring it into you. You can do better. You can choose to do different. I am doing it. And my children are the most respectful children. They are very responsible. But when they make a mistake, I don't rub it in their face and say, I told you so. No, I said, now let's look for the lesson in that. What can we learn from it? I allow them to have boundaries. I don't know what is wrong with people who think that boundaries are disrespect. That's because you don't want nobody to tell you no. And it's okay for you to hear no sometimes, because that is your lesson, that you need to start respecting people's boundaries. Boundaries are a necessity for any human being. And once you strip them away from children, it's so dangerous, because then you send them out here to school with strangers. And if they cannot say no thank you to you, how do you expect them to be able to say no thank you to a predator? Who is, i.e., might be a staff member or a teacher or a stranger who's waving candy at them and saying, get in the car because your mom told me to pick you up. A lot of this no boundaries leads to our children not being with us anymore. They being taken because they don't know what boundaries are. You strip them from them. Stop doing that. They need to be able to have a voice. And it starts with you, empowering them to learn how to communicate. If you don't know how to communicate, 9 times out of 10, your children don't. So it's going to be hard to admit in front of your children that you don't have all of the answers. You're not supposed to. I don't know who told anybody in this world that once you become an adult, you know everything. A man who lives on this earth and thinks he knows everything is a man who knows nothing. Because lessons, mistakes, and failures are all the things that help us during crossroads for us to level up and grow and mature. So if you don't want to mature, you might be 68 years old, but you have the mental capacity of a 12-year-old because you don't want to learn your lessons. You just keep going through the same failure and try to ignore it and blame everybody else. It's time for you to look for the lesson so you can receive that blessing and you can grow up. Now, I know that this was hard truths to hear, but I'm not saying it because I want to tear you down. No, because we tear each other down enough. I'm saying it because it's enough broken people on this earth and we don't need to continue to do that. So if you have done that with your children, it is not too late to rectify and help them heal so they don't grow up bitter adults and then they do the exact same thing to their kids, because that's continuing the cycleness of broken people. We need more loving people, people that teach their children about compassion when they are at their lowest, having empathy, not sympathy. I'm sorry for you. No. Thank you for telling me. Thank you for trusting me enough to tell me the truth or how you felt or what you went through. I too had to experience something similar, but I'm here for you and I'm so grateful that you told me. That's empathy. We need to learn how to love. Love everybody, whether they struggling or not. Stop thinking that we are in competition with one another. What I bring to the table, you don't. Don't put that in your kids either. Because when I was growing up, that silent competition thing, that was prevalent. And I'm pretty sure because I just didn't want to acknowledge it, I got cussed out a lot. It didn't make sense to me. Okay. What am I competing for? Because I'm unique and made differently by source. My light is not supposed to dim others, but if their light dims, they need to check their light and their parents need to help them realize that they're unique and they have different abilities too. I hope this message lands for whoever needs to hear it. I love you and keep being great. You got this. If you make a mistake, look for the lesson, because that's your blessing. I'll see you later.